Welcome to Life Along the Streetcar podcast. This originally aired as part of Life Along the Streetcar radio program on Downtown Radio 99.1 FM, streaming on downtownradio.org wherever you are in the world. And this week we're speaking with Steven Meckler, the Tucson photographer whose portraits have become a snapshot of the people who shaped our city's core. Steven's been capturing Tucson's makers, dreamers, and doers for years, and his work has quietly documented the heartbeat of downtown as it's grown and evolved. I'm really excited to welcome in Steven Meckler. Your name and downtown have been synonymous in my brain for probably 10 years when I first moved down here, and just seeing some of the work that you were doing. And I didn't realize at the time how special you really were, because over this time, I've learned, okay, you've been in, well, of course, Arizona highways, but you've been in like the Smithsonian, and like you got stuff all over the world, like in magazines that people see all over the world that document Tucson.
On occasion, yeah.
On occasion, huh? But let me get back to the beginning though. So you've lived in downtown for a few years now.
Forever. Well, yeah, I gravitated there because I grew up in Brooklyn, in New York.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a photographer, and it went along the way. I got after college, I took a graduate program, and I was an intern to a big name photographer in New York, in Soho.
Oh, wow.
Before it was Soho.
Oh, okay.
Before it was this big deal. It was just cobblestones and coffee out of blue cups and Greek diners. But this photographer had a live workspace on the second floor of an industrial building. And he had the whole floor, and he lived up front. And it was this great studio. So my image of what a commercial photographer was a photographer living in some industrial or commercial space. So I always gravitated that way, and that's after I moved to Tucson in 1980. Within a year or so, I was living in a storefront on Congress Street.
So, and that not where you are now, because you
no,
you still have the same setup though. I mean, you still have you live in your studio.
Oh yeah, still the same thing, but in those days, I was a 20-something, and it was a rough space,
Okay.
But it was beautiful. Had hardwood floors and a loft, and I lived upstairs.
Like where was it on Congress?
Where the Ronstadt Transit Center is.
Yeah.
It was I was on Congress Street in the middle of the block. Not alone, by the way. There were next door to me. There's another space where 5 painters shared a space, and then Wigorama was on the corner.
Oh, Wigorama was in that corner.
That was their absolute first place.
Oh, okay.
And
wasn't there a bar in there like the Manhattan?
And
or something like that?
On the alleyway, which is the Herbert alleyway on Congress, was the Esquire bar.
Esquire, that's what it was, right? Yeah.
Out my back window of my studio, where I lived, actually downstairs and in the back, there I could see through bars. There was the Manhattan Bar and Grill.
Okay. Yep.
That was 10th Street.
Okay. Yeah, and 10th Street's not there anymore. But
no,
it's still there, but it's cut off because the
it doesn't exist there.
It used to go all the way through.
Yeah, and and then at one point there was actually even a little art gallery on that block. It looked a lot like the block across the street. Just those small storefronts, and they said, we want you to leave. We're going to build a transit center. And then it took them a few years after they tore it all down. And someone pointed out to me, I said, God, I love it downtown, even though it was kind of seedy in those days.
I was going to ask about that, but you chose to stay.
Oh, yeah. I grew up in New York. What do I know?
Yes.
CD seemed like home.
Well, as the sign from the old Esquire, the reason I remember that is because Jude Cook, from Ignite Sign Museum.
Yeah.
He's got that sign now.
Yeah.
And he's restoring it. So kind of excited to see all this coming full circle. He was the first one that told me kind of about that 10th Street and everything else happening down there.
Yeah, it was in those days, the 10th Street was actually what they used to call them the Papagos, rather than the Pasquayaki.
Oh, Pasquayaki. Okay.
That was that was a pejorative by the Spanish. They had polka bands there, Papago polka bands.
Huh. Yeah, it's
at that bar. It was really kind of a wild place.
The changes in Tucson that you must have seen, but before that, what gets someone from Brooklyn to Tucson? I mean, you're hanging out with this world-renowned photographer in a cool spot.
Oh, I was just an apprentice.
Well, you're still with them, but what drags you? I mean, cross country to Tucson?
Family. My father moved out here. My parents got divorced, and my father moved out here, and I was graduating. I went to State University of New York at Stony Brook. I have a degree in biology.
Okay,
a minor degree in photography.
Of course.
I started off as a medical photographer, and I worked at a big cancer research hospital in New York, Sloan Kettering Memorial.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And I was commuting an hour and a half a day on the subway each way. And, one day he calls me and says, I have a business and I'm opening another business with my brother-in-law. And why don't you come out and run my first business? It was an antique and used furniture store on 4th Avenue called Lost and Found Furniture. It doesn't exist. He retired in 99, I think. Anyway, so I said, I don't know anything about retail or furniture or anything like that. He said, nah,
come on.
You're my son. I can trust you.
There's less snow in Tucson.
Yeah, well, And so I moved out here, and I said, look, I want to be a photographer. And he said, well, do this for a couple of years. I had a brother in the military. He got out. He's going to take over the business, and then, I'll help you get started. And that's kind of what happened.
Wow. And then that just sort of transitioned then into photography? Or?
Transition sounds really kind of like you got a job. I didn't get a job. I got a place. I set up a studio, and then I struggled for years. Slowly, and calling people. Hi, I'm a photographer. I show you my portfolio. And I put together a portfolio in the time I worked at the furniture store, and then slowly. You get one job, and then you don't hear from them for a while. You call them again. Oh, yeah, get another. And then I got a break. At one point, on a whim, I called IBM out here. They had a big facility.
Right, yeah.
And I showed them my work, and they said, oh, yeah, this is good. We'll give you a call. And after, I don't know, a few weeks, I hadn't heard from them, so I called them back. And I said, yeah, hi, I was sorry. Oh, I remember you. And he said, let me put you in touch with Robert. And they transfer me, and I did a whole lot of work for them over the...
Thanks to Robert.
Robert, he was the art director, and he and I got along. And I wasn't the only photographer they used, but, they threw me some work, and it was fun.
And so when I think of commercial photography, and I'm thinking more of your current work, and I don't know about historically, but commercial photography to me seems very, in my mind, it seems very sterile, like you're shooting for commercials and things of that nature. But when I look at the work that you're putting out, I mean, this is incredibly detailed artistic work. I mean, it might be commercial, but it just stands alone as art. It's fabulous. But that doesn't always seem to be the way photography was shown. It wasn't always shown as art, or am I wrong about that?
I got to tell you.
You got to tell me.
Maybe just yesterday or the day before, I forget, I saw a YouTube video. It was an interview with Richard Avedon, being interviewed by some famous on TV interviewer, and he asked that question. He said, so Avedon, so this was probably in the late 60s, early in the 70s. And he said, so is photography art? Mm-hmm. And Avedon gave the best answer. I've been asked that before too. The best answer I've ever heard. He said, well, painting isn't always an art. Sometimes it's just a lousy painting.
Right.
Maybe you don't want to call it art or sculpture or cooking. But there are photos that rise to that level. And he said, basically, his thought was almost anything could be an art if it merits that, if it has that quality to it that's so exceptional.
And for your work then, starting in the 80s, did you always view it as art, or did you view it as utilitarian? How did you see your work?
I love doing photography. I love the process. Mm-hmm. I have friends that say, well, we never see you walking around with a camera. I say, well, I have to have a reason to pick up the camera. If someone pays me, or I do nonprofit work,
sure,
charity, pro bono things. Also, if someone has a need, and they give me a brief or some concept or some ideas, that's what I love. It's a kind of problem solving.
Okay, and I know, because I was going to ask the same kind of along the same lines, if your photography is random, but looking at the photos that I've seen on your website, it's clear that these are very thoughtful. They don't come out of just, let's get together and make some photographs. They come from probably, I would imagine, weeks of dialogue and scouting locations. And
some of them.
Yeah,
and some of them could take a day to shoot one photo maybe, or hours. And
but when you get to the point of shooting, you've already done, like you've already kind of conceptualized it, haven't you?
It's a process.
Yeah.
That's part of the process. Even when I do an environmental portrait, which is basically a photo of a person, portrait of a person, where the environment is an important element or integral element in the narrative, in the story. So the photo shouldn't exist without the environment. Yeah. So it's an environmental portrait. And I do lots of those. But before I do one of someone I don't know, I'll call them up or meet them and have a conversation of some kind. So I learn something about them so that I could tell some story. Maybe it's not their exact story. Maybe it's just my story. I'm just projecting. But there has to be some narrative in it that even if someone calls me, I do product photography sometimes. There's not a lot of products being made here. But I get calls sometimes. Even if it's a product, a thing, I want there to be some narrative.
How do you? And maybe this is just something. I'll ask a question. How do you get that narrative onto film? How do you get that narrative into the story? Is it where you position the person? Is it the lighting? Is it like what do you?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, all of that. Every choice you make, every decision you make in a photo, the location, the time of day, how you light it. Do you light from this side, that side? Is it hard light? Is it soft light? Is it moody? Is it light and airy? Do you shoot from a high angle, a low angle? What does a person wear? What is, do they turn this way or that? Everything goes into making the story.
And do you have and maybe this changes per photo, but do you have an idea in your mind as to how this photo will look when it's done, or do you figure that out as you're doing the shoot?
It depends, and it's maybe all of it. Yeah. There are lots of things going on. Everyone that's involved has some kind of, and the word's escaping me, agenda. Mm-hmm. Has some agenda, and whoever hires me, the client has an agenda. The person has an agenda. If it's a building we're photographing, the architect or whoever we're made contact to is in the building or about the building, they have an agenda. I mean, there's all of that. So I try to figure out what it is that's visual about whatever I'm photographing, because that's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. If it's not visually interesting, then no one's going to care.
Yeah, and it's. again, I think people have to go to your website to get a sense of what I'm talking about. And we're going to do something different today. For the first time ever, we're going to show some photos on screen and see how this all works out.
Cool.
We're going to experiment with this and have you walk us through a couple of them. But I want people to check out your website because you've got them, categorized by events, and you've done people, places, events, like so many different things over your time in Tucson, and not all of it, but a good chunk of it is in this urban area. You spend a lot of time documenting this in a way that no one else really has. I mean, you live here, you walk around, you see all this stuff, and then is it simply I'm waiting for a client to hire me to do something, or do you find ways to get, like, I really want to do this project X, and then figure out who can fund that project?
Well, that's a good question. It's funny. My website is really a good business tool for me. A couple of years ago, I got a call I got an email. Sometimes I don't even talk to the people. They're all email, from a Scandinavian magazine. And this kind of request comes from all different kinds of publications. And so this is a professor at the university, and he did some science. He's an economist who created a formula for happiness.
Okay.
It sounds silly, but it is. And so they wanted pictures of him. But I know from my experience, and if someone contacts me from New York or any number of places and they have a publication and someone lives here, they always want a saguaro cactus.
Yeah. Of course. Of course.
So if I don't give them that, they're disappointed.
They're like, where is my saguaro? So that's going to lead me into a question. I want to take a look at a couple of photos. And you gave us our like some selection. So I picked a few photos and I sent it around the Jazz Festival because that's coming up here in January. Mm-hmm. And you've done work. You've done the cover of their magazine, their program every year since they've been doing it. Right?
I think since they've been doing it for 9 years, 8, 9 years, 10 years, something.
So I've got this one.
Oh, yeah.
You're familiar with. So I looked at this photo, and the first thing I have to find out, it's this. And if you're listening to it, you'll have to check it out on the website. But it's best described as I've got a cowboy playing some brass, and behind him are these two iconic saguaros, and then the moon. Like, is this real?
No.
Okay.
It's real as a photo.
Okay. Like this person, like you didn't capture. Okay. I was like, this, like, is this, what part of this is like the photograph?
Oh, well, this is a truly made photo. This is a Photoshop extravaganza.
Okay. That makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I forget the conversation we had, but in the beginning, there's been a couple of different directors at the Jazz Festival. Yvonne Irvin was the first.
Oh, yeah,
she was spectacular.
Yeah.
And then Chris Dodge he's got his own amazing abilities. He's magical.
He's been on the show a few times.
So they would say, well, in the beginning, they were really open to ideas. So I would come to them with, well, we could do this or we could do that. And then they'd say, oh, yeah, I like that. So then I would go expand on that. This is one of those photos. But they always wanted it to be the essence of the whole thing is jazz in Southwest. Mm-hmm.
Well,
it had to be somehow connected to a Tucson thing.
Well, this one with the saguaros, I mean, that is iconic, as you were saying. I mean, that there's no other place that photo could resonate as well as it does here in Tucson.
Yeah, so I draw them a little picture, lousy picture, and then
you're better with the photography than the drawing.
So then I describe the person I want. It was a cowboy, and they find me this guy. He was great. But like most of the people that we photographed, he's never played a trumpet.
Oh.
So we always have to get somebody who has played a trumpet or the instrument to show them how to hold it. And then and that part was done in the studio. And when you create photos like this, you have to know what the whole picture is about. And not about so much as you can't just shoot one element and then try to figure out what else to do. It's all planned.
Yeah, you have to know what.
So I lit him in a way that he would look right with the Swaros, and I lit the Swaros that it would look right with him. That orange glow. Actually, if you saw my assistant and I, so we shot him in the studio one day, and then we went out over to the Painted Hills, on Anklam Road, with a strobe light with an orange gel, so it would look like the same campfire that he was in front of.
Okay.
And we were walking around lighting Swaros and taking pictures, and then I brought that back to the studio and picked some of my favorites out, and then I got a picture of the moon, and then I got a stars. I think it came from NASA. So
I mean, these are your Swaros you photographed, and then is it your moon?
Is it my moon?
I'm just curious how it all comes together. So
that's an old picture of a moon I had.
Nice.
I had shot it on film many years ago.
I guess the question is, it is all real. It's just assembled.
Oh, it's all assembled. It's assembly. Yeah.
So the next one, then we've got the Leaping Lady.
Oh.
And this one.
I think that was last year's cover.
It was it? Yeah. This is phenomenal. Like she is suspended in midair. Is she?
Every photo's got that story. I told you. So this one, Chris Dodge and I met together. I forget where, and I said, okay, what do you want? And he just said one word. He said, I want joy.
Okay.
That's all he said. He said, huh.
This one wasn't filmed in your studio.
No. So I said, okay, give me a few days.
How do I capture joy?
Give me a few days. So I came back with this idea of a musician leaping in the air with an instrument. We weren't sure.
Literally jumping for joy.
Yeah, jumping for joy. We weren't sure. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a trumpet, a trombone, or a saxophone. Those were my choices. And then, but there would be musicians behind her, so it would look like a performance. But and it was shot at the Rialto.
Okay,
they were real helpful. They're the ones. I come in with my lighting, and my assistant and I lights it, and we set up the camera. But the colored lights and the that sparkle of starlight, that was an actual light from the theater's lights.
Nice.
But it wasn't put together. This was the photo. This was not combined.
Right.
Anything.
That's what I was saying. This one is one. This is a shot of this woman leaping.
But here's the thing: she's never played a saxophone.
Yeah.
And I said, well, forget about getting a musician to do this, because once in a while we do get a real musician.
Sure.
To play. And because they're not going to be able to jump. Maybe they'll jump once and twice and have a small heart attack, and then, so he got a cheerleader.
Okay.
And she had a whole bunch of clothing, and we picked this one out, and so we got it all set up, and she starts jumping. And I shoot what's called tethered, so I've got my laptop there, and I could see it real big. And she jumps, and she jumps again. And after I say, okay, ready, set, and she's jumping for maybe 10 minutes. I say, you want to take a break? Oh, no, I'm fine. And then after a while, she says, do you want me to jump higher?
Wow, that's just phenomenal.
She must have jumped for 45 minutes.
Well, just the dress itself feels like it's like a curtain.
It does. It was just the perfect dress.
And then the last one I got to talk to you about here, because it is Life Along the Streetcar, and I saw this one, which I hadn't seen before.
This is a first.
This is?
Yeah, this was the first one we did for the festival.
So we've got the saxophone player on the streetcar, and you've got just sort of people going about their business. Is that a musician?
No.
Ah, darn it. He looks like a musician.
No. Yvonne set that one up. That was the first one. And that was purely my New York
feel. Now, when you said you're from Brooklyn, like all of a sudden this feels like Subway. You've got the hat on the ground. He's collecting the money.
That was purely me. This photo is all my background.
And I hope people that are listening can watch it, because what I love about this photo is that no one is paying attention to him. He's just playing for the sake of playing. Everyone else is going about their business, and he is just playing. And that element of it was like that was fabulous for me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I told them all. Don't look at him.
Don't look at him.
Don't look at him. But so we were really lucky here, and the people who put on the Jazz Festival impress me every time. I like getting the Rialto and getting the people who were like here, getting these people and the instruments and everything else. But the streetcar company gave us not one, but 2 streetcars to do this.
Wow.
I said, I need a streetcar. And this
was just after they'd launched, right?
This wasn't long after.
Yeah, because this is when the festival started.
So if you look at the photo, through the window is another streetcar. And this is in the streetcar house.
Okay.
Off of 4th Avenue.
Yep. Nice.
And it happened to be raining that day, so it was perfect.
Well, it's well done. And again, if you're listening, you got to check it out. We'll have them on our webpage and such for a link to get them over. But a couple questions here as we're wrapping up. How do people find you? What is your website, your Instagram? Like, how do people find you?
It's Steven at Meckler. Oh, that's my email. MecklerPhotography.com.
Meckler Photography. And then on Instagram.
That's easy. If you just type in Steven Meckler Photographer, you'll find me.
And then for Instagram, is it Steven Meckler or?
It's Steven Meckler.
Okay. So I know that's how you're on Facebook.
And maybe there's a space between.
We'll make sure to link it. And then do you do exhibits and shows, or have you been?
Not in many years. I have 3 or 4 pieces in the collection at the Tucson Medical Center. Okay. So if you walk their walls, you'll see there. And maybe I am an artist, because I have a piece in the collection at the Tucson Museum of Art.
Well, I don't think there's any question that you're an artist. The stories that you tell are fascinating, and I think when I look at a piece of a photograph and I see I feel the story, right? It's not again, when I think of commercial photography, I think of something somewhat sterile, and when I see the work that you're doing, it really opens my eyes to how creative that story is to get whatever message that these products or people or events want to get across, and that is definitely art. So I hope you consider yourself an artist. I think the rest of us do. So you might be the one that doesn't. Well, I've been in Tucson for since the 80s. I've been downtown pretty much all of that time. You've seen things change. I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and we're going to have you come back at a later date and talk a little bit more about some of the other projects you're working on, because this is just so fun. It's just amazing. Anytime. All right. Well, our guest today, Steven Meckler, fabulous Tucsonan, fabulous photographer, artist, and really a scribe of sorts, of documenting our history in a way that's a little bit unique. If you want to check out more of us, Life Along the Streetcar, we recommend you do that on our website, lifealongthestreetcar.org, where you can listen to other episodes, past podcasts, videos, audio, all kinds of fun stuff over there, plus information about our book. And if you want to get a hold of us, there's a contact button there. Also recommend social media. Life Along the Streetcar is our handle on Facebook and Instagram. Each week, the music is provided by Ryan Hood. We thank them for letting us use their song Dillinger Days. I want to thank Amanda Burns, our associate producer, James Portis, our executive producer. My name's Tom Heath. I'm your host. And until we meet next time, stay curious, Tucson.